Good morning. Good morning. Decided to hop back on again, and um, I wanted to make another video. Going to try to be a little faster with this one, but I wanted to make another video in response to this guy named Arthur Stephen Walter, I think. Um, he made a video talking about the whole controversy in regard to Gadot playing Cleopatra, who it is true that Cleopatra was ethnically Greek, um, and she was of Macedonian heritage or ancestry. Her ancestry was Macedonian. You know, she was a descendant of Ptolemy Soter the First. So yeah, that's all true. That's all historically factual. You know, if you were to read, I think Polybius, who was a Greek historian, a lot living during the Roman period, um, and probably there may be some mention of it by Livy. I'm not sure, but anyway, the point of the matter is that I wanted to once again, I wanted to uh, bring some awareness because again, there's misinformation still circulating. And Arthur Stephen Walter happens to be one of those individuals who is putting out, you know, false information, or he's misinforming people. And I just wanted to basically lay out my disagreements as far as statements that were made by him. Um, he says that ancient Egypt was a multi-racial or multi-ethnic society. And this is false for a few reasons. Because, first of all, prejudice or racism was just as common in the ancient world as it is in the modern world. So the idea that the Egyptians were somehow, uh, less racist or less xenophobic, when pretty much all of the cultures and societies of the ancient world were like that, is, that view is a little puzzling to me, because you have examples of this even in ancient Greece, where the Athenians and the Spartans basically lived segregated. You know, their societies never at any point were integrated. Uh, they did not live amongst each other. You know, the Spartans had their own territory, their own political system, which was basically monarchy, and the Athenians had a democratic form of government. They chose their leaders, and so there were ethnic as well as political differences between the Spartans and the Athenians. Um, so the ancient world was not some melting pot, as this individual or this gentleman puts it. You know, that the ancient world is a melting pot, a confluence of, you know, people living in the same country or same city, you know, anything like the United States today, you know. And so for that reason, I feel as though he's sort of projecting his own experiences, you know, being someone that lives in the 21st century, onto a society that, you know, flourished thousands of years ago. So that's my main issue with Mr. Walter. And that view is just simply not correct. The Egyptians, if you wanted to look at the archaeological evidence, um, the Semna Stele, which I believe was set up by Senusret III himself. I would probably have to fact check that. I'm not totally certain if it was him who set it up, but the Semna Stele was placed at the border of Egypt and Sudan, if I'm not mistaken. And this was basically it had an inscription on it kind of warning the Nubians. It was a cautionary warning to the Nubians that, you are not to cross this line, the border between northern Sudan and Egypt. Um, so, and I think it basically was like a retelling of the campaigns that Senusret, um, the campaigns of Senusret in the Sudan, and how he basically conquered the Nubians, and that if the Nubians essentially, if they didn't want to experience that again, that they were not to cross that line or go beyond the point of the Semna Stele. The Egyptians also had, I guess if you could equate this to disparaging or derogatory terms that the Egyptians invented for uh, their neighbors, such as vile Kush, vile Asiatics, vile Libyans. You see images. Um, there are reliefs of Seti the I smiting Libyans, in battle. There's I'm not sure if that image is from Luxor, but there's an image that you can see of Seti the I. He's literally stomping on a Libyan soldier, uh, and while he's stomping on him, he's got a spear. Um, Basically, he's got a spear pointing downward toward this Libyan. So the ancient Egyptians were not these multicultural, welcome everyone, all inclusive, you know, people. Their society was not like that. And there's a huge misconception when it comes to ancient Egyptian society. People who are usually um, obstinate as far as believing that the Egyptians were an African civilization. Normally they don't want to just outright say, well, ancient Egyptian civilization was white. So to try and be fair, they try to say that, well, it was a multicultural civilization, and that's absolutely false. Hello.